Actually, I might.
Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
Oh, and I'm the Macho Derek. Showing my face in these parts again.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
You're the cream of the crop. You know the cream always rises to the top. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing today? Good. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Rocking it out, man. Rocking it out.
Rocking it out. Yeah, where'd you get those glasses, Derek?
Quincy bought them at CVS.
And you were like, those look like Macho Man glasses.
Yeah, she was like, I just had to buy these for you. I was like, they even say Macho Man.
That's excellent.
I know. And she's like, he hasn't been relevant for a while. I was like, well, I mean, he did pass away. He was like, he
The
did.
Macho Man is always relevant.
Right. Well, and the thing had like him and the Ultimate Warrior, and she was like, well, what about this other guy? I was like, oh, that's the Ultimate Warrior. Well, what's he done? And I was like, well, nothing. He's dead too. So.
Said a bunch of racist, homophobic shit and then died.
I mean, that did happen. That is true.
Did happen. Guys, I hope you guys had a good weekend, because today we're about to go on a long journey. We're going to travel clear to Jerusalem's Lot and meet the people of Salem's Lot. But before we dive into there, we're going to do what we do every week and start with the horror news. All right, we don't have a whole lot this week, but we have some interesting stuff at least. We're going to start with this. Guys, this is right up our alley. You guys are going to be so thrilled with this. You ready? I'm going to share this with you guys. NECA is making a limited edition Tom Atkins.
Oh my
We have
gosh.
got to get one of those for the podcast.
Yes.
Yes. We have got to... Look, there he is. How beautiful is that?
Oh my gosh. That is
pretty
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, I am so excited. I've got to find one. I've got to get one.
Yes.
I mean...
How much are those action figures normally?
That would probably be around $40. That's what they usually are. But this one might be... Well, this one probably is more, because there's literally only... Looks like there's only going to be 1,000 made.
Oh, man.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully the demand is not super high.
They will be
sold.
Well, we might not get our hands on it. We might have to try it at the secondary market, because it's going to be sold exclusively at the H45 convention, the Halloween 45-year convention in Pasadena. So, might not get our hands on it, but we can hope.
Damn.
When is that convention?
In October. Sometime in October.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the secondhand market does. But that's super cool.
Yeah, I don't think we can swing 2 conventions.
No.
I think they'll allow us. That's really cool. I would be so excited to have that as like just sitting back here on the shelf.
Yeah.
Can you even imagine?
Yeah.
It'd be amazing.
Nope.
All
right.
Jamie, I don't think you mentioned this. Not that we are going to do anything except for stand in line and get autographs, but Jamie and I are going to the Silver Screen Con in September.
Nice.
So,
where's that?
It is in
near Boston,
Massachusetts. So it's a good
Nice.
old 12-hour drive.
Damn.
More like 13 or 14. We're breaking it up into 2 days. So we're
Yeah.
driving like 10 hours. We're going to stay at a hotel, and then we're going to drive the other 3 hours, do the convention, go back to the hotel, then get up the next day and do it all over again. So
Nice.
But
it's going to be pretty
during
fun.
that time, we're going to be doing a lot of pre-production on Secret Admirer. So not wasted.
Yeah.
Guys, Joe Lynch's new movie, Suitable Flesh, has a release date. It is going to be released on VOD and in select cinemas on October 27th. And then it will hit Shudder, streaming exclusively in January of 2024.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Nice.
Do we know the list of theaters it's going to be released in?
I don't see them here. We need to look for it because I would love to go see it for sure in the theater.
Yeah, if there was one in like India or something, that'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, I think we should all three make a trip to go see it if it does. And then we'll do a review on it.
Yep.
So that's exciting. Always up for a new Joe movie. Guess what, guys? Creep Show Season 4 is about to be released. It releases on October 13th.
Nice.
That's some exciting stuff. I loved Shudder's Creep Show so far. How about you guys?
Yes.
I think I only watched like the first season.
I think I did too, actually, but it was so good.
It was really good. I've watched, I'm pretty sure I watched all 3 seasons. I definitely watched the first 2 and then maybe bits of season 3. But guys, you know who's going to be in this season of Creep Show?
Who?
Tom Atkins.
Shut up.
Yes.
Shut
Yes.
up.
He's going to be in this, I don't know which episode yet, but he's in the trailer. So, Tom Atkins.
That's pretty cool.
This is some crazy Tom Atkins news, guys.
Yeah, he is ascending.
I'm obsessed.
Lydia,
We
that's
all
not
are.
even the best part. He's going to be at the Silver Screen Con.
What?
We're going to try to get his autograph, yeah. I know.
I'm speechless.
Yep, now you're jealous. That's how it goes.
Damn.
We'll see. We want to show him, maybe have him say, "Thrill me," and we'll put it instead of the clip we use for Hackenization.
That would be sick. That would be sick.
That would be pretty sick. I could die a happy man at that point. And then finally, the last bit of our news is the other hero of this podcast, our Lord and Savior, John Carpenter, has a new record coming out. It's called Anthology 2, which collects all of his movies themes from 1976 to 1988.
Really?
So it has on it Chariots of Pumpkins from Halloween 3, the 69th Street Bridge from Escape from New York, The Alley from Big Trouble, Wake Up from They Live, Julie's Dead from Assault on Precinct 13, The Shape Enters Laurie's Room from Halloween 2, it has the Season of the Witch soundtrack, has the Prince of Darkness theme, The Shape Stalks Again from Halloween 2,
Oh,
Burn
man.
It from The Thing, Fuchs from The Thing, Max Shack from The Thing, Walk from the Lighthouse from The Fog, and then, of course, Laurie's theme from Halloween.
Nice.
Pretty cool.
Now, I have all of the Halloween and Halloween 2 tracks because I have that soundtrack on vinyl. So, I have those. And I also have Christine. And I have Big Trouble in Little China. Because they rule! What are you guys thinking? Pretty cool,
That
right?
sounds really sick.
It's going to be on iTunes. I might have to pick that up.
Yeah, I mean, John Carpenter. Derek, when we went and saw John Carpenter, we should have bought an autographed record. I don't know why we didn't. Oh, yeah, because we were poor.
Yeah,
all our money.
a couple years ago, yeah, we were lucky to.
We spent all of our
Okay.
money to go to Chicago and see John Carpenter.
But it
That's
was
right.
worth every penny.
Yeah, it was. And that wraps up with horror news. Like I said, guys, not a lot going on this week. Which makes sense. We are in the midst of a writers and actor strike. Probably not going to be getting a whole lot of horror movie news till they get that shit straightened out. Pay your goddamn actors and writers.
Yep.
That's all I got to say. Pay them. Quit being greedy bitches. All right. Now I'll get off my soapbox, but that's my pro-union speech for the day. Guys, last week we covered Witchboard, a movie that basically none of us remembered seeing. We remembered very little of.
I remembered like everything.
You liar. You said you only remembered old Connie
I
Katane
remember
getting decapitated.
but that was pretty much the most important scene in the entire movie. So,
This week, we are starting our Kingathon. This month, we are doing, in honor of Stephen King's birthday, every movie that we review this month is a Stephen King joint. And so we're kicking it off this week with Salem's Lot, the 1979 miniseries directed by the late, great Tobe Hooper from Texas Chainsaw Massacre fame. Lydia, was this your first time watching Salem's Lot?
No, it was not.
Ah.
You want to hear my story about it?
Tell me all about it.
Okay. So I was racking my brain trying to remember exactly the first time I saw this, and I think it was in high school. I think it was my senior year, and I got off work late at night, and I went to Blockbuster and picked out a couple movies to take home with me, just on a whim, just like, what should I pick out? So I pick out Salem's Lot, because I've never seen it, and I think Donnie Darko, because I had never seen that either, so weird combination straight out the gate,
Yeah.
but, so and my memory of it was, popping it in. I don't know if I must have had my laptop that I could watch DVDs on, because I remember it being like in my bed at night in the dark with the screen very close to me and headphones, I think. So I'm sitting there and watching it, and I'm like, oh, this movie is pretty boring, and I'm like falling asleep, and I kind of like wake up with my headphones like blaring, and there's like a scary vampire on the screen, and it like scared the devil out of me. And I was like, oh my god, this movie is scary. But then I just fell back asleep and was like, and then I was like, that movie was boring except for like one part. Like, what happened? So that was like my memory of this movie, was that it was like just boring as hell, but also very scary. So, and then on this watch, I have to say, I watched it on my laptop, in my bed, in the dark, with my headphones on, just so that I could get that scariness again, hopefully. Yeah. But this time I was more awake, and definitely a different experience, because I actually was awake for the whole thing.
That would do it, yeah. Derek, is this your first time watching this?
well, technically, it's my first time watching it twice, but yeah, it's. I've really tried to think if I have any memory of this movie, and I don't think that there's one scene that kind of feels familiar, but I don't know if it's one that I just saw a clip of or I actually watched the movie. So I'm gonna go with this was the first watch for me.
Ah, cool.
I don't know.
This was not a first watch for me. I had, similar to you, Lydia, well, kind of. I think the very first time I watched it was on TV, or a recorded VHS, something like that, because I think I remember watching it when I was quite young with my dad, because Dad was talking about it and stuff. But the time I remember actually watching it is I rented it from Family Video. They had it on old DVD. I rented it, was like, oh, I'll check this out. It's been a while since I've seen it. Gave it a watch, and, I think I've seen it 2 times since then. I also remember watching the Rob Lowe version, which is interesting, that they made a Rob Lowe version of this movie. But, yeah, so I it's similar to you, Lydia. I just picked it up when I rented a couple of horror movies. I didn't put it on with headphones and shit. I watched it on the giant projection TV back in the day. That big honking giant projection TV that was 420p, and like the tube was going out, so everything was dark as fuck. But that's what I watched it on. But yeah, so I knew a lot going into this. Like I remembered a great bit of scenes, especially I remembered the wraparound, and I remembered the majority of the characters. So, but there's some, there's something I really love about Stephen King miniseries. There's just a kind of feeling about them that I really, and because it feels like reading the novel. Because we get these characters and we get these stories and we feel like we're living we're in these people's lives for this amount of time. So I kind of like that. Where do you guys want to start with this?
I'm glad you brought up that this was a miniseries, because in some ways I feel like it helped the movie, but also in a couple of ways I feel like it hurt the movie a little bit, especially when you sit down to try to consume this movie in one go, because it's a pretty long movie.
It's 3 hours. Yeah, it shouldn't be necessarily consumed at one time. Maybe.
It shouldn't. Yeah, you can see like where they had the breaks for the commercials and things like that.
Well,
but,
every time the scare would happen, that would be where a commercial break would happen. They would have to build those in.
Mm-hmm.
So that messes with the pacing a little bit, because it's made for that experience. You're right.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Interesting part about the movie, and we kind of ran into the same thing when we watched It, right? When we did the miniseries of It, because you can see where those commercial breaks were, and you can see where those where the two halves, split. I think It ends more on a cliffhanger for each half, though. This one quite doesn't.
Yeah.
You just kind of reach the halfway point, and you're like, okay, this is probably where it splits. But yeah. So where do you guys want to start with this?
Well, start at the beginning.
I knew you were going to say that. I will say, I really do like the beginning of this movie. Part of it is it's kind of spoilery to a degree, I guess, but you're just kind of thrown into it in media res, so you don't know what's going on. You don't know who these people are. You just see this guy and this young kid, and they look like they've been through hell. They're in like the desert. They go into like a church and get holy water, and it starts glowing. And then they're like, "Oh, they're coming for us. They found us." What do you guys think of the way this thing kicks off?
So go ahead, Lydia, if you want to start off.
I watched this movie last week, so it's not as fresh on my mind.
It was a little discombobulated. I mean, you catch up pretty quick, right? But
yeah, and that's the point, I think, is to throw the viewer off.
And it did. I was like, wait, what just happened? Because that guy looked totally disheveled in the last scene, and now he's like pristine. Oh, by the way, man, the haircuts.
It's 1979.
Oh, yeah.
It's 1979.
Well, haircut. I mean, sometimes I let my hair get a little long and it looks ridiculous, but the haircuts.
Yeah, the hair is
That's
great.
Like one of my favorite parts.
That's one of your favorite parts, Lydia?
Yes, like just seeing everybody in 79, like every single wardrobe, every house, every detail. I'm like,
yeah, Ben's hair is especially excellent. He's got that like fucking the 70s like cool guy hair. It's like flowing. It's a Michael Landon almost,
Yeah.
I vaguely remember my dad trying to pull something like that off, but he had a super awesome receding hairline, and he couldn't. He eventually went to the comb over, but he definitely tried to pull something like that off back in the day.
My dad had long hair for a long time, from the 80s to the early 90s, and He had like a flowing mane going on. But it wasn't.
Your
My
dad
dad
still
still
this
has
hair.
long hair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, your dad does. You're right.
Yeah.
He never let it go. He's like,
Nope.
I must keep this wild
Hair
Um,
metal to the end.
till the end. Um, so yeah, Ben, our main character is Ben Mears. He's a writer. We're introduced to him. He's going through this. When we meet him, he arrives back at Salem's Lot. He grew up there. We come to find out, and like when we first meet him, he's stalking this house. He's looking at this house, this beautiful, creepy house. What do you guys think of the house, by the way?
I love it.
I mean, it looks great from the exterior, but man, eventually you get inside and you're like, there's no way anybody can this house. But it looks super creepy from the outside.
They would if they're vampires and shit.
I mean,
Yeah.
definitely
This
never
is-
swept a floor or cleaned a wall or, defungled.
This is my
Yeah,
dream
I
house.
Yeah, I love it. It is a gorgeous.
Those-
I love it. That the exterior of the house is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like it's great.
Yeah, it's
And-
a mishmash too. It's not just like one style, it's like several styles to like make it even more kind of like
Like it has
Yeah.
layers, right? Like the boom, boom, then boom. Yeah, it cuts a really great silhouette.
yeah.
You definitely missed the great wisdom from Kickboxer, where it's like you can never stay at one style. Jamie, I'm getting the
It's Bloodsport,
Bloodsport.
first of all, and it's you taught me never to stay with one style, to keep an open mind.
Yeah. We'll have to put that in somewhere, but
Yeah, it's right here. Van Damme. I wish Van Damme did a horror movie so we could do a Van Damme movie.
I know.
So we're also introduced to one of my favorite actors of all time, and one of my favorite characters in this movie, which is James Mason as Richard Straker. Basically, he is the caretaker of the vampire. James Mason is fucking great in this, right? I mean,
Yes, he is actually.
I
He's
love
excellent.
him so much. I love his
He
accent.
is. Yes. His attitude.
He's great, man. He's so like smarmy and like
Yeah.
just too cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the acting in this movie, for like the vast majority, is like pretty solid.
Great. It's actually really great. Yeah. Especially for a TV miniseries. It's like leagues ahead of any other TV miniseries at that time, especially. Like it's just the acting is great. And did you guys see all of these like great character actors? Recognize all these great character actors? Like James Mason, of course, and then you see the drunkard is
yes.
old boy from House on Haunted Hill.
Yes. I love him.
And then you
I
have
love his face.
Derek, you saw him, right? The guy that's the truck driver, the cemetery gravedigger.
Yeah.
You know who that is, right? That's
Yeah.
Chad and Alex's dad.
Well,
From
I mean,
Double Impact.
Double Impact, yeah.
Yeah,
I know, not really their dad, but the guy who
He's their adopted dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, their
Oh
father
yeah,
figure.
no, I picked that right out. I was like, man, he's gonna whoop some ass in this movie. Really
Let's
didn't.
do it. He didn't.
No,
Well, that's because
sad.
Van Damme wasn't there. Van
That's
Damme's
right.
all over this episode, by the way.
He is. In spirit, he's there.
And the great Bonnie Bedella is our female lead.
Dude, Bonnie. Oh my gosh, she is so pretty.
Yeah, I was waiting for her to get held hostage in Nakatomi Tower. Have Bruce
Yeah.
Willis come and save her.
I completely forgot that was her. Yeah.
Yep, Bonnie Bedella. I was like, I know
it
all
makes
of these people.
Yeah.
And Lydia,
And
we have to talk about your absolute favorite character actor in this movie, Fred Willard, as the fucking
Yes.
cheating boss.
yes. I like almost didn't recognize him. I was like,
Because he was
so
that
young.
looks like, yeah, he's so young in this. It's like, what?
Not only is he so young, but he's also like I feel like lately he's been more typecast as like in a comedic role.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. He was. I mean, he passed away just recently, but yeah, he was definitely typecast as a. He was definitely typecast in a comedic role. Um,
That's a tragedy.
but let's kind of break down some of this plot because the thing is, I mean, there's a lot that happens in this movie, and there's also a lot that doesn't happen in this movie at the same time. But we can't
Yeah.
like kind of go by it beat by beat. So it's kind of like we have Ben's story, which is basically the through line, where he sees this house as evil. Like there's a whole backstory to this house that like the person that lived there before was abducting kids supposedly, or he was at least looked at for the abduction of these kids, and then people ended their own lives there and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then so he has this theory, the book he's writing, basically he's like, this house just attracts evil men, and he thinks that this Mr. Barlow and Mr. Straker may be evil. He's right. He's right.
Yep.
And so he meets several characters. He meets his English teacher and the doctor, who was Bonnie Bedella's father. And really, a lot of it is just these characters starting to interact with this foreboding, like, evil kind of held over top of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we don't get, like, the real, like, terror stuff until later in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
When Barlow arrives. But before Barlow arrives, we get, during that scene, what do you guys think about the fucking domestic couple, their scene?
So this is actually one of the plot lines I feel like they totally could have eliminated from. I understand it's a made for, it was a mini series and so you've got time to fill, but on a rewatch this, you could drop it and it would be fine.
Yeah, because it doesn't go anywhere, but
yeah,
it adds color and flavor.
It does, and I mean, I think the way that everything was set up, you got the, what do they call her, Bonnie? They call her something. The locals do.
Yeah, yeah. What was that?
First time.
Yeah.
But she's having an affair with her boss, and then oh man, when she's like, "I want you to come over and do it in my house, in my bed, it'll be racy," and I'm just like, "Oh, that's not cool." I mean, at least a hotel or something. But nope, she wants to, and then her husband comes and
because
right on.
He pretended that he was going to be leaving. Like he did have to leave, but he ended up paying this D-bag guy who is Bonnie Bedella's character. What's her character's name? So I can actually get it right. Susan. He's Susan's ex-boyfriend, and he's a dick. And then there's a gravedigger. So they end up driving the truck to pick up this Mr. Barlow's stuff, which is actually Kurt Barlow. That's who it is. That's what they're picking up. But while they're doing that, he decides to sneak back to his house and just waiting outside, waiting for him, and then shows up with a shotgun. What do you guys think of this whole scene, though? When he shows up with a shotgun, it's actually pretty intense.
It is so intense. It is like straight up terrifying.
It's got great acting too. All the performances are phenomenal in it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was like sweating bullets.
Yeah, he's in tears. Like he's got tears in his eyes and stuff, and he's like, you can tell he's crazy, half crazed. And you're like, what is going to happen? And then of course the gun's not loaded.
Oh so man, could you imagine? Could you imagine that?
It's so intense. It's so
cooperating. Like put the gun up to your head, Larry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now close your eyes. like I'd be like, fuck you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like definitely felt like we were about to witness a murder. Like, and like his wife. Like, oh man, it's too scary.
Yeah. It's really good.
By the way, whenever he first goes into the room and they're on the bed and she's like, he tried to rape me. I'm like,
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, what a terrible human being this woman is.
no, that was absolutely just not cool, dude. Not cool.
Yeah.
That's mind blowing. I did the same thing. I was like, what a terrible person. Like, oh,
Yeah.
like, not only is she cheating on her husband, but then she's like, it's his fault. Shoot him.
Yep, I had nothing to do with this.
He tried to rape me. That's terrible. But guys, we gotta love his boxer game, right? Because it's on point.
Yeah. Those silky red boxers.
Silky red boxers. So when he leaves, he gets killed. He gets abducted by by Straker probably. So he's abducted, and then we also have the storyline with and then they just leave. They just leave the town, right?
Who just leaves the town?
The couple. They just pack their shit up and
we don't really because there is a scene where you see the shiner that he gave to her,
and they have the ship packed on top, and they just drive off. They just leave town.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't really. I saw that they were going somewhere, but I was like, oh, you know.
Yeah, that's what it is. They packed up and they're leaving town.
Got it.
So we have the sheriff, who is an interesting character. He's just kind of investigating. He's starting to investigate when one of the kids come up missing, because we have the boy Mark he's like a drama student and such, and he's like kind of a writer. He's like the English teacher is like kind of shepherding him like he did Ben, and so they come over to like these brothers come over to rehearse with Mark, and on their way back, they're going back home. They cut through the cemetery, and one of them gets abducted, and the other one comes back all fucked up. So they find a button when they're doing a search. They find a button, and immediately Ben's like, I think it's that Straker guy. He always wears a black suit with these style buttons.
Yeah, was it a piece of fabric?
No, it was a button. It was an actual button, because he tries to piece it on, but the button's there. Remember, when he goes into the police, when he goes in, he brings his dry cleaning in. But this set of circumstances sets us up for the scariest scene in the movie, right? One of the scariest scenes is when the boys become vampires.
Yeah.
And they're outside the door, or outside the window.
These scenes are so, for the time, I'm sure they were really cool. They're a little weird, because at some point it feels like they've got the film in reverse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're supposed to be like otherworldly.
Yeah, and just what they did with the film, which, you know, I'm sure they had a lot of constraints of being more low budget than a feature. But yeah, just the way that the smoke played and it would go in and out. It's just like,
I thought those were super cool.
Yeah, super.
I mean, the way that the kid is like floating, like it just in a weird motion, is so strange and like super unnerving.
The scariest one is when the second kid dies. After the second kid dies and he goes and visits Mark, that's the scariest one, because he speaks to him. And he's like outside the window and he's like, "Let me in, Mark. Let me in." And I remember as a kid, I was always like, "Oh."
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
It's weird because like as an adult watching that, you're like, that's pretty creepy. But like as a kid, that is like your worst nightmare, is anything touching your window, and like, you know, like anything to do with the bedroom window, you're like, no, thank you.
I'm good.
That's where the monsters are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's great because he's like doing the whole, and he like acts like he's gonna let him in, and then he grabs his cross, because he's us. I mean, Mark is us. He's a horror obsessed teen. He has like action figures and collectibles, which who does that?
Dude, his room looks
such
so
a weirdo.
Cool. Yeah, his room, I was just like in awe. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, dude, the red paint. it looks like a set, like Dracula's set. Like it's so cool looking.
And he has like,
Well,
the Wolfman and Dracula on his wall and
Hmm.
shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, of course, now I have like Freddy, Michael, and Jason because those are our Dracula and Frankenstein and Wolfman.
Yeah.
But it's
well,
like
and
I was like, oh, that's me.
yeah. There is some tension between this young kid and his parents
Yes.
because I don't think that they know what to do with like his hobbies, right? And they're like, oh, I'm sure he'll outgrow them and all this stuff, and it also doesn't feel like his dad is like really like communicates with them very much, or tries to take an interest in what he's doing because they have some fun scenes where his dad's just like, oh. Anyway, my
Yeah,
2 cents.
no.
But that kid, on the lamb from these vampires, definitely becomes a horror director.
Yeah. And I was like, I know what you're talking about when the dad's like talking about, when are you going to grow out of this stuff? I was like,
Yeah.
Connor can be into whatever he wants to be into. I can tell you that as a father. Like if you're into it and you're not hurting
Yeah.
anybody, you enjoy it. Do it.
Yeah.
But,
And
like,
it's kind of a sign of the times too of like he's like really
100%.
expecting his son to like have a successful career and not just be like into a career that's a dead end basically. And he's like he even tells his dad, he's like, I'll figure it out, like
Yeah.
he's like,
I'll figure it out.
I'll make a living.
How are you going
Which
to
I
make money?
love.
I'll make money, Dad.
Yeah.
I'll figure it
I
out.
love that he like had the confidence that like there is money in this industry, like
Yeah. I can
follow
do
your
it. I can do it.
passions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Got it.
like the Mark character a lot. He was a good character.
Mhm.
But yeah, those scenes are great. I love those scenes. I also like the mystery of them trying to like nail down what Straker is up to, because every time they talk to him, they're like, "Where's Mr. Barlow? Oh, he's actually doing this, or he's doing that,"
Mhm.
and like we never get like a clear answer, to where he is, because he's always in Europe doing a shopping spree or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we just get that little bit of information, and then he can't leave town. Ben can't leave town because he's like implicated in this because he happened to witness old Fred Willard pull up dead and called the police. And then he's like, I wouldn't leave town if I were you. I was like, the fuck are you talking about?
That is so Quincy watched a little bit of this with me, and I'm like, man, that is the flimsiest fucking evidence that they have for like
Yeah.
it's money.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't leave town if I were you. What? That he was with somebody else, and like he has a complete alibi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I love the line that you just said. He pulled up dead.
Yeah, just pulled up dead. And then when he says, I like when he's like interrogating him, and he's like, does like the whole, well, I think I heard somebody else get it, and he's like, well, somebody else got in another car and drove off. Oh, you saw him? No, I can't be sure, but I heard them. And it's like this very like matter of fact thing. The sheriff's like, this all sounds too logical to my brain. Stay in town, new outsider. It's like, but I'm not an outsider. I'm from here. Don't sass me.
Yeah, he drops that pretty early, and if you're listening, you'll catch it because like someone asked him that, and he was like, "Oh, I forget what the line was, but he alluded to that he had been there before, and he was born in
Yeah.
Salem's Lot. He left when he was like 10, I think, or 11.
11, yeah. I think he leaves when he's 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, it's really funny. I've got to say, how old is Susan supposed to be? Because this is, like, one of those signs of the times, too. How old is Susan supposed to be? Because, like...
The grade school teacher, so she went to college. She's got to be in her, like, mid-20s.
Yeah, she's, like, living with her
Yeah.
parents, and he's like, be home by Baba. I got to meet with your dad. It's like,
I know,
she's an adult woman. What the fuck are you talking about?
yeah. It's like one of those, oh, you live under my roof, you'll be here.
It's so weird.
fuck,
Such a weird
I'm
thing.
30.
I really like the doctor character, though. Because he's not a douchebag. The doctor character is actually really like open-minded. Once it starts to like
Yeah.
the shit starts to go down, he's not like, no, that's impossible. He's like, huh. Let's look into that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just one example of him being like, pretty cool. Because there's a point where it's after they get interrogated by the awesome cops in this town that was like, oh, you two were at the lake, and Ben starts to like be like, oh, I respect your dad, and he's like, I just, have some discreetness about what you guys are doing.
Yeah,
like it's none of my business.
Yeah, he also says he's like, she's a smart woman. She's an independent. She can take care of herself. She's likes you. I'm not worried about her, but she is, basically for her job, has some discretion. And it's like, yes, sir. I was like, I think you guys are the same age. You never can tell how old people are in the 70s. They just, once you hit 25, you look like you're 47. It just that was the way back in the day. But then we get when the first shot that we see Kurt Barlow is after Ben is attacked. When Ben is attacked by the evil villain, the ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like, he's just chilling in his room and just pops out and punches him. You're like, what the fuck?
Dude. He beats the crap out of him.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so weird.
I mean, he was warned.
He was, I guess. But that guy's terrible. So he ends up locked in jail. But before he gets locked in jail, let's talk about the whole Gravedigger, his whole story. What do you guys think of his plot line?
His makes the most sense.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, first off, his poor dog dies. That's terrible.
Yeah.
But, like, beyond that, he's a gravedigger. He's burying one of the bodies, and then, it calls to him, and he jumps down into the grave and opens it up, and then he gets attacked. Like his I love his. Makes perfect.
And when he shows up to Ben, it's a really interesting. Like, the way they shoot the scene is great because he's doing all this stuff, and then we don't see the vampire bites until like 2/3 of the way into the scene, and he moves his neck a certain way. He like does this, and we see him, and then he lowers it when they walk around so they don't see the bites.
Mm-hmm.
And he just seems like he's delirious, like he's like, I don't know, like, he's dehydrated or something. You know what I mean? Like he's just going through like this dehydration or something.
Yeah,
so,
they're like, are you drunk or something? Like, are you on drugs?
Yeah, and he's like, I don't remember. I heard the most beautiful singing. His performance in this scene's great too, because he's just like, staring off into the middle nothing the whole time. So the English teacher takes him home and into the spare room to like nurse him back to health, and then he turns after he's attacked again. What do you guys think of him as the vampire? Because I think he's really creepy.
He is awesome. His eyes are glowing.
The eyes are so cool.
I do love the eyes in this.
Yeah, very cool. He looks so creepy.
He's like walking at him, and he's like, basically taunting him for being a teacher, and he just grabs the cross, like he just instinctively knows the English teacher does, and then fucking basically has a heart attack after he forces him out.
Oh yeah, that sucks.
Another heart attack, because he was one of the better characters in this movie.
Yeah, and he like, because he started to kind of piece it together earlier, because he calls Ben in the middle of the night and tells him to, come over, because he sees the marks first. Remember, tells him to come over and bring a crucifix. So he borrows a crucifix and brings it to his house. That's why he has it. And then he jumps out, and then we get our first the attack happens, and we get our first scene of Barlow. What do you guys think of Barlow's look and Barlow's makeup?
I freaking love it.
Yeah, I think it's phenomenal.
I agree. Well, in the whole movie, he is portrayed as this guy's business partner, but obviously he doesn't He doesn't take meetings.
No, no.
But, yeah, I mean, he like really reminiscent of Nosferatu. I feel like
Yeah, yeah,
they definitely drew some inspiration there.
yeah. There's definitely some
Yeah.
inspiration, but I love his like little like rat style fangs in the front.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So we just get the quick cut of him in the jail cell because he like missed his way in, and then we finally see him in all of his glory when he fucking comes in and kills old Mark's parents. What do you guys think of this scene where he like just comes in with the priest and Mark's parents and wrecks them?
It's
Little,
crazy. He like slams their heads together and just like they're like dead.
Yeah, yeah. I just love how he comes through the window. He busts through. Everybody's like, "What?" And we just see like this, like cloth moving, and we're not sure what it is. And then he
Yes.
stands up, and he's
Oh, I love
terrified.
that so much. That was so cool.
Yeah,
I cannot stop thinking about that. Like for a week, I've been just thinking about that cloth just like turning into like a full human. I'm like, dang, that was a good effect.
yeah, it's cool.
It's not like, you know, like today that would have been just CG or like some like pretty obvious trick, but like I was like, they cut that just right.
Yeah, they did.
I love
'Cause
it.
I love how it's like it's you just see it, and at first I was like, "What the hell is that?" And then you see
Yeah,
it's a
me
cloth and
too.
it's moving, and then
Yeah.
he pops up and he's like horrifying, and you're like, and when he has him
Yes.
held, and you know he basically makes the priest make a choice because the priest has the cross held to him, and then
Mm-hmm.
Straker comes in, and he's like, "You think that's gonna stop the master?" Basically, he's gonna make you a deal, your life for the child's. And he's like, "Well, why would I trust him? Why would he, keep his word?" He's like, "He can have the child tomorrow. He can get the child whenever he wants, but you can let him live for one more day." And so he does it. And when Mark's leaving, he looks at him. He's like, "I'm gonna kill you." And just the moxie of him, like, I would have just been pissing my pants and shitting my pants as I ran out.
Yeah,
Well,
dude.
it gives the viewer a sense of the power, but also it's a power play on the behalf of the vampires
Mm.
because we see. Actually, I think it's after this that a crucifix on a normal vampire makes them fucking disappear.
They run.
Well, no, I mean like in the morgue scene, like
Oh.
she literally disintegrates or whatever.
Right, that's right. Yeah, we need to talk about that morgue scene, actually.
But in this scene, the master just walks up and it's pretty much like, you're a priest, so if anyone's going to have the most amount of faith, one would assume you would. And he just essentially like fucking discards the crucifix. It means nothing to him. So
Yeah, he
it's
grabs
awesome.
and throws it.
Yeah, and even the other guy was like, this is a test of your faith, and it was pretty cool. It was a good scene, good dialogue too.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, let's talk about that morgue scene, actually. When with the woman, she sits up, and what do you guys think of that? Because she gets, like, burnt in her face with the cross. That's when she disintegrates, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, a cross that he made out of fucking, like, the little sticks that they...
The tongue
Tongue
dispensers.
depressor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of that scene? It's pretty cool. I think it's a pretty, like, creepy, fun beat. Like, when it's getting up
Yeah.
behind, we see it, like,
Yeah,
starting
and-
to rise.
And it's like definitely one of those things where it's like, how many movies have we seen this scene in? Like there's always this morgue scene in like every scary movie like this. It's like, but like just the fact that, I don't know. I mean, that scene probably goes way, way back too.
Yeah, this one's probably one of the earlier ones of it, though. Probably.
Yeah.
I'd say it's probably one of the earlier examples of it. Another memorable one, of course, is The Fog, where the guy stands up and walks through the whole thing, which is a great
Yeah.
scene. We fucking love The Fog. 10 out of 10 for me. But
10 out of 10, for sure.
yeah, I think that's a pretty solid scene, though.
It's suspenseful. For
Yeah.
like, when we already know what's going to happen, but the suspense is still there.
Yeah, it still creates the tension. Yeah. It's because Tobe Hooper is a master of what he does, right? I mean, he's Tobe Hooper. Yeah, that's great stuff. And then Mark decides, you know what? Well, first of all, the sheriff just fucking leaves town.
Bolts, man. He's out of there. He's
We
smart.
see him with his family. He's like, well, aren't you gonna? What about Salem? He's like, everybody's leaving anyway. To hell with this town. Here's my gun. Good luck.
Yep.
Which,
pretty much.
to
Yeah,
be fair, that would be me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's the smart one, and I really liked his character throughout all of this too.
Yeah, he was an interesting, like police officer. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, super interesting. He wasn't just like a basic like every run of the mill police officer in a horror movie.
Yeah.
He was like,
yeah, he's a Stephen
like-
King character. He feels like a
Yes,
Stephen
dude.
King character. Yeah.
he's realistic. He's skeptical. He's like actually wants to figure this out, and then like he realizes it, and he's like, I am not doing this.
No. He turns into Matumbo. No. Yeah, that's he's out, and I don't blame him. So he and the doctor decide that they're going to, you know, go to Barlow and Indy, basically. But meanwhile, Mark decides he's going to go into Barlow because he wants revenge for killing his parents. And Susan decides to follow him into the house. And it doesn't go well for either of them.
It does
What do you
not.
guys think of this scene? Because James
This
Mason's
was
just
where I was
there,
like-
ready to... Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, dude, this is insane. They go into this house. She follows him in, and you realize that this house is like disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh man, like the basement, because they go in through the basement. He picks the locks because he can get out of any lock because he's like the
Yep.
magician.
Yep, that's... Yep.
And man, I don't know, it's so good. What
Yeah,
an
so-
adventurous thing! Like,
It is. It's pretty fun. So they go in, and then, yeah, the Sawyer family wouldn't even live in this thing. I mean, like, you know, Leatherface is like, nah,
Yeah.
it's a no for me.
Yeah.
The place is too disgusting. Because there's, like,
The next-
feathers on the ground. There's, like, dead carcasses on the wall. It's just
it's like
fungus,
mold
like you
and
said, Derek. Mold.
I told
Yeah.
you, man. This is like the most disgusting place on earth.
Yeah.
It's like it is alive. Like it's like flesh of the house somehow.
Well, yeah, you know, and they kind of in the discussions that Ben had with his old teacher.
Mhm.
You know, he's like, do you believe a house can be inherently evil?
Evil.
Which the insides of this house look like evil lives there,
Yes.
or a hoarder.
Absolutely.
One of the two.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's like kind of empty though. Like besides like just how dirty it is, it's like a big empty house.
Yeah, there's nothing in
Yeah.
it. No furniture. Just
Just like
Just-
antlers,
antlers all over.
Bones. like
You know.
yeah.
We need to put some stuff in the walls. It's looking a little barren. Let's throw some antlers on there.
Yeah, on this
Yeah.
one wall by the stairs.
So she gets taken by Straker. He takes her and handcuffs old Mark and down in the basement for
Ties him up.
Mr. Barlow. But like we discussed, he's a magician, so he can pick these locks. So he picks his lock and he gets out of there. And while he's coming out is when the doctor and Ben arrive to go in, and he just sprints out as they're going in, and they're like, "Well, we got to go in there, Susan." You know, he's like, "Susan's in there," blah blah, and he decides to follow him in. He's like, "I've got to go back. I can't just leave him." And we don't see Susan. She's just gone. We don't know where she is at this point. She's just gone. And the doctor runs into Straker, and it's not a good time for him. Doesn't end well for him, does it?
No. No.
yeah,
the,
this,
he
so
like
what is
picks
Straker?
him up.
What is he?
He's a familiar.
Right? Yeah,
I was
he's
going to
like
say a ghoul, which they
He's
mentioned.
kind of a ghoul.
Yeah, he's kind
Yeah.
of like a ghoul from.
Vampire
know.
Brooklyn.
Yeah, because he's superhuman strength.
He's kind of like a familiar from Fright Night, right?
Yeah,
Like the familiar from Fright Night.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Lydia. Talk about it. Oh, the doctor's death.
How shocking it was for him to just come at him and like lift him up off the ground. I was like, yeah, I mean, we have no reference of like how strong this guy is or anything like that.
No.
So you're just like, oh shit, he just picked him straight up and then he just like shoves him onto these like horns and antlers. Just
So,
dead.
yeah, you're right. It is super shocking because here's why it would be even more shocking when the movie came out. We have references of other movies. We just talked about two, Vampire in Brooklyn and Fright Night, where we expect that these are familiars or ghouls, so they like have superhuman strength. There's dialogue earlier in the movie when Ben's talking about Straker, and he's like, well, how can he be killed? And he's like, any other way than, any way than a normal man can. You can shoot him, he'll die. But that gets turned on his head when he just picks him up with one hand. This old man just picking him up and throwing him with ease onto these antlers. And it's by far the most violent death in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The most graphic, at least.
Yep.
Great kill, actually. Really good.
Yeah.
And then he's coming down the stairs and he gets like the entire gun pumped into him before he dies. It doesn't look like he's going to stop, does it?
No.
No.
It just keeps on coming, and then it's like, I guess 6 was too much.
Yeah, his
Then-
death was kind of funny, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then Michael Myers and Dr. Loomis standing off to the side, and Michael's like, pussy. I get right up from 6 shots. I shot him 6 times!
Shit on me.
Yeah, his death is kind of funny, but it's also pretty cool. I like the way he plays it. Like, he's like, still like he's going, and then he just kind of runs out of gas. He's like, oh, drops to a knee and falls. And I like his commitment of actually dropping down and falling, he was pretty old when this movie
He
came
did
out.
so good. He's like stole the scene of like I cannot take my eyes off of him.
Yeah, every scene. He stole every scene, man.
I agree with that.
He was 70, or he was not quite 70 when this movie came out, or just about to be 70. It was like 68 when this movie came out. So he passed away in 1984.
I will say the doctor, when he died, was a little funny because he's like, his eyes are rolling in the back of his head. He's like, oh.
I mean, it's kind of probably what happens when you get stabbed by antlers.
Yeah. Dude.
So we get the ending of this movie. And the ending of this movie, or the showdown with Barlow, actually has one of the creepiest scenes in the movie, in my opinion, which is he's about to stake Barlow, and the door opens behind Mark, and we see all of the other vampires in that cubbyhole crawling out.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think of that bit?
This was kind of cool, but like kind of weird at the same time.
Yeah, I liked it because it's so creepy. Like the way there are glowing eyes in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they're running out of daylight, and they're just like kind of creeping out towards them. Pretty cool.
How do you think they did the glowing eye effect?
I don't know. It has to be some kind of contact, I would imagine.
Yeah,
in,
it has like
1970.
Coating or something. Yeah.
Those contacts looked so uncomfortable, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. They did not look.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, maybe it was like post, like they just did it in post and like colored it, but they looked great. They definitely were creepy.
So Barlow gets staked, and disintegrates into bones. What do you think of his death? I mean, it's a classic vampire death, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Solid, just staked, dead. And then we cut forward because they have to barricade that door in because of the old vamps. And then we catch back up to the beginning of them on the run.
Yeah.
Basically, they're like, we got to hunt these guys. And we end up at like this place that they're staying. And Ben goes into the, because he knows that there's a vampire in there. And he goes in, and it's Susan.
Yep.
And she tries to seduce him. And it looks like he's going to just fall right for it. I mean, that's the way the scene plays.
Yeah.
And then he reaches back and grabs a stake and stakes her to death. What do you guys think of that?
Oh man, it was so crazy. First of all, he like was like gave up on Susan pretty dang quick in that house.
Oh yeah, I get they kind of had to get out of there because all the vampires coming out. It's just like no, we can't do. There's nothing we can do here.
Yeah, they
The
didn't
fuck
even
out.
like try to look for her. Like they were just like, "Sorry, Susan."
Well, I think
I would've just
his thinking.
died.
Yeah, I think his
Yeah.
thinking was
I
if
get
we
what you're-
kill Barlow, maybe it'll end it. But that's not the way it works.
Yeah, I think they could have like had one scene in there that was just like a quick scene that would explain like them just leaving her instead of just like not
We
showing
gotta save her.
anything.
We don't have time. Something.
Yeah, yeah. Literally, like they didn't do that. They were just like, "Sorry, Susan," as the house was like burning.
Yeah, 'cause they burned that fucker down.
Yeah, they did.
But
anyways,
I like
end.
this. I like this scene a lot. I think it's really cool because
Yeah.
it does
It's kind
kind
of like romantic in a way.
and he's freeing her. You know, he's
Mhm.
freeing her from her curse, and like the fact she's like, "You never felt as good as I feel now. Come and join me," and then he's like, "Nah, pop." Like,
Oh,
what do you think of it, Derek?
I think he thought about it for a minute, and I don't
Well,
think
of
we
course,
touched on this, but so he was previously married, and his wife died in a car accident,
Yes.
Yeah,
He was
so-
a widower.
and he was 2 years out of that, and then met her. And so that's that's a tough one, man. But he made the right decision, obviously. I'm sure he
Yeah.
thought about it for a minute.
I think
See, I
it's a
think
solid.
he made the wrong decision. I think he should have just been a vampire with her. That would have
No.
been sick.
No,
Live in a
that's the bad
spooky old
way.
house.
No way. Don't live in that gross house.
Just murder a couple people in a little
When
town.
you're a vampire, you live in shit houses. Fuck that.
Yeah,
Hygiene goes out the window, apparently. No, I think it's a really solid ending because it ends with, and then, like they kill Susan, and then they're still kind of on the run and still kind of also hunting vampires. So it kind of sets their adventure, like them. You can imagine them on other adventures, which I always think is fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it almost gives like an Evil Dead vibe of like, well, now we're here. Like now we're like straight up action heroes at the end.
Yeah, yeah, and I kind of like that. I actually, I mean,
Yeah.
I really do. I love that.
Yeah.
The whole now we're adventurers, now we're vampire killing adventurers. Let's do it. Yeah, it's kind
The
of
only
what
weird
Children of
thing-
the Night wanted to be.
Ooh, you're right. I did not
Yeah.
think about that, but you're totally right.
Yeah, it's what
Children of the Night
wanted to be.
Took a lot from this movie, probably. Shoot, what was I gonna say? The weird thing to me was like how similar these two characters looked, and like they just felt like such similar. But it was kind of cool because they did kind of tie it together of like they were both like actors in the school, taught by the
Mhm.
same teacher. Like they
Yeah.
were very similar, anyways.
Yeah,
So that was kind of cool. But I was like,
Yeah, and
dang,
it's-
these two look like they could like be brothers or something.
yeah, and it's cool that they like that he takes him on. You know what I mean? Like he basically
Mhm.
he doesn't have a family anymore, so he takes him in, and they just are like
Mm-hmm.
a team now.
Yeah, I like the scenes where they like show like them in passing. Like
Yeah.
a couple times they show them like make eye contact and they're like kind of like, who's that guy?
Who's that guy? Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that too. The first scene when he goes to visit his teacher, and they like kind of pass by each other is
Yeah.
a really good one. And that is Salem's Lot, guys. All 3 hours of it. What do you guys
Yes.
think of this one?
I loved it.
You can go first, Lydia. Go ahead.
I think we're starting off the Stephen King month pretty strong. I don't know
Yeah.
how the rest of it's gonna go, but
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
um, yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was so long. I started this movie very late at night, and I was like, "Dang, is this movie over?" Like this is. I should have broke it up a little bit, but I don't really have too many complaints. I really enjoyed watching it, and I did think it was genuinely scary. So that's a big topic right there in itself. A lot of scary things happened. I'm trying to like work out my ratings as I'm talking.
Yeah, I know. I could tell when you're
Stalling.
rambling. You're like,
Um. Oh, what do I want to give this movie though? What do you guys think?
Derek.
I mean, I'm gonna get there. Want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead. And then she'll give her rating
Uh,
after you.
so this movie, I think, gets a little bit lost in time. If that makes any sense. Like, so it's a made-for-TV movie, so it doesn't have the leeway that a movie might have had to take some of the scenes a little bit farther. You have a little bit of kind of fat in this movie, I think, in some areas that could have been trimmed up to make it a little tighter.
If it
Um,
was, yeah, if it wasn't a mini series, yeah.
yeah, if it wasn't a miniseries, exactly. So here's the meat of this movie. There's a lot, and I think it has a really cool story to tell. And I think we've talked about there's a new adaptation coming, right?
Hmm.
We talk about that? Okay.
Yeah, we did last
Super
week.
excited to see where they take that because they've got I think, a solid
If they ever,
foundation.
if it ever gets off the shelf, remember it's shelved right now.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give this movie a 6.5, and I think that if I would have watched this movie in the 90s, I probably would have rated it higher. But it's a product of the times, and I can appreciate that as well. Like it's a little capsule of you know small town America in the 70s, and that comes through in a lot of ways. So yep, I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
What about you, Lydia? Do you want me to
Oh
go
man, I
first,
was
and then?
thinking way higher than that.
Well, you want me to go,
Rate it
and
however.
then
Yeah,
you go. I
yeah.
really, really like this movie. I think like I said, I love living in the world of this movie. I like just hanging out with these characters. I think that they're all well-rounded characters. I think they're all interesting. I think that there's a lot of stuff that's just character-building moments that end up paying off, and some people might think that's a little slow or boring, but I think that's interesting stuff. And the writer in me and the filmmaker in me really kind of likes that for a certain story, and this is that story, I think. So I think the direction's really good in it. I think the performances are great all the way around. I think the writing is very, very good for the time that they had to fill. uh, I'm going to give this movie a 7.5. You know
Okay.
what? No, I'm going to give it an 8. It's an 8. No 0.5s, 8. What do you think,
There you
Lydia?
go. Okay, so I think I'm gonna give it 8.5. Yeah.
Eric, you do realize you gave Witchboard a 6, by the way. You think this is only 0.5 better than goddamn Witchboard?
Yep.
Fuck out
Derek. Ugh.
I liked Witchboard. So
Witch. Uh.
yep.
This movie is twice as long as Witchboard and less boring. How is that even possible?
I mean, I think the length actually takes a little bit out of it, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm sticking with my 6.5.
Here's something. You also gave fucking Lumberjack Man a high rating, which is absurd.
Dude,
So
Lumberjack, man, I'm telling you, I like that movie a lot. I can't wait for the sequel.
There's not going to be a sequel because nobody fucking liked it. There was you.
At one point, it was one of our highest rated
Oh yeah.
things. Our
Gonna just
podcast.
throw
Yeah,
that in
people-
our face, huh?
Yeah, they hate watch that episode. All right, guys. That's Salem's Lot. Who would Tom Atkins play in this movie? It's time to Atkinize. Who would Tom Atkins play in this?
There's only one person who could play.
Who's that?
It's got to be Ben.
I think I would cast him as Ben too. I really like the actor they got for Ben. That's David Soul. He's really good, but yeah, Tom Atkins would just. This movie would be 12.5 out of 10 if Tom Atkins was in it. As Ben, especially.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you imagine?
For sure. And they kind of
Especially-
have a similar vibe.
Yeah. Can you imagine
Like, I feel
79
like, of, like-
Tom Atkins?
Yeah, like handsome 70s gentleman.
Forget about it. Forget about it.
Yeah.
I mean, she would
I
fall in love
personally
with him
think-
as soon as she saw him.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's what I kind of feel like David Soul is like too handsome for this role.
He kind of is.
You
I
know?
mean, he's a very handsome guy. I agree. Like, he just...
Especially with those tight jeans and that blonde hair.
I wasn't looking at the tight jeans, but the blonde hair, the MacGyver hair they had going on.
You know,
Yeah,
the first thing I noticed about him,
the tight jeans.
no, it was when he was driving in his car and how fucking uncomfortable he seemed. Because he had a goddamn corduroy jacket and he was sweating his ass off.
Oh.
Well, he
I'm
was
just like,
sweating
man,
his
there
ass
must be
off.
air-
He was sweating his ass off because he was looking at the house. And that's what was causing him to sweat.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Fear.
I did catch that, but no, he was legit. He was hot, man. It was- I guess they were
That was real sweat.
time of year, like, oh, maybe it's supposed to be going into fall, maybe, but he seemed like he was sweating a little bit.
I'm going to do a little bit of background housekeeping real fast on this. This movie was made for $4 million, by the way. Which isn't a huge budget. And here's the craziest part. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the shoot. Here's how long it took to shoot this movie. Principal photography started on July 10th, 1979, and wrapped August 29th, 1979.
Say that again.
What? Excuse me? What?
They shot all of this in just over a month. This whole 3-hour movie.
How?
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
They must have had this thing like nailed down. Like, we're gonna do this on this day, this day, this day, this day. No retake.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
just
so
blew
it
my
says-
mind.
Actually.
July 10th to August 29th. So, yeah, basically a month and 9 days.
And there were some
Or a
really
month and
beautiful shots.
19 days. Yeah. Yeah, really, really great shots.
Although I did notice though that like with these older like horror movies that we've been kind of covering,
Uh-huh.
that like a lot of them are like just shot in like broad daylight, kind of like the atmosphere is so strange in these movies because they're just like like everything now is so filtered and like especially horror movies are just like blue, like they're just like have this full like nighttime kind of gloomy tint.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, well, a lot of it is also the texture of film versus digital, right?
Yeah.
Film has
That's
a
true.
textile, actual, because it's a physical media, like it's physical media, like, you're shooting on
Yeah.
a physical object, so it has that textile feel. Plus, I mean, shooting on film gives you the clearest picture you could possibly get. So you get that crispness too when you get like artifacts. It's just, yeah, there's nothing like. If we could shoot on film, we would do it, but it costs a lot of money these days.
Oh yeah,
So-
for sure.
Like you have to be Christopher Nolan, Steven Spielberg level to shoot on film these days, which is
Mhm.
crazy.
Wild. Just wild.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's the cinematography is really good, especially for this movie. It currently, by the way, holds a 89% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Dang.
Derek, you're actually close on your rating. It says a 6.65 out of 10. So pretty close. And that wraps up Salem's Lot. What are we watching next week, guys? Lydia, what are we watching next week?
All right, so for my Stephen King pick, I'm going to do one of my favorites that I haven't seen in a long time. Cat's Eye.
Cat's Eye, starring the
Yes.
old Drew Barrymore.
Drew Barrymore, James Wood. Wood or Woods?
Woods.
I
I
don't know.
don't know that I've ever seen this movie.
Woods.
You've never seen Cat's Eye? Cool.
Yeah.
It'll be your first time.
I'm so excited.
Where can we watch Cat's Eye? I think
That I don't know.
it's on Roku. Let's see. Yes, it's on Roku TV. You can also watch it on. It's available, of course, on all of the streaming. You can watch it on Apple TV, Amazon, Google, YouTube. The whole gamut is where you can find Cat's Eye. It was on HBO for a while, I remember. But yeah, this is going to be a fun one. I haven't seen it in a while. I watched it a while back, so we'll get into it. Derek, do you have a story for us tonight?
You won't believe this.
You forgot to think of one?
I actually thought about it earlier today. I'm like, man, what story am I going to do?
You forgot it?
And then I just didn't think of a story. But man, give me just a second. I got one.
Okay.
Maybe. Let's see.
Wait.
One that is appropriate.
Could be inappropriate. It doesn't matter.
So while I'm thinking of one, do either of you guys have a story? Lydia, you should tell us a story.
What the heck, Derek?
Yeah.
She's like, don't throw me. Don't
Trying,
put me on the spot.
trying to throw me under the bus.
No shit. I've got a story for you.
Do it.
I don't know if I told this one on the podcast or not before, but we used to go out ghost hunting and trying to. We always just tried to get scared, essentially. It's what we tried to do.
Yeah.
Anything to scare us. And I remember being with a girl that ended up being my ex-girlfriend. There was an ex-girlfriend, me, and my friend Andrew went out to Hookman's grave when it was still around. And we were
Nice.
trying to like me and this girl weren't dating yet, we just were friends, but we both liked each other. It was like right out of high school, you know, it just was one of those like senior year kind of thing. We're like not sure what we're gonna do, you know, neither of us making that move. And we're out there in the graveyard and we're just looking around, you know, trying to get spooked out and what have you. Ooh, the spooks are coming. And I remember we heard something in the woods. And we're like, oh, we're trying to scare each other. She ends up holding my hand, you know, we're like, oh, we're holding hands. And then we actually heard, like, voices in the woods. And we saw flashlights. And it was the cops. We were trespassing on Hookman. So we, at first, we're afraid of ghosts. And then we were afraid of jail. So we ran off. We booked it down the hill. We're holding this girl's hand without even realizing it. We get home, and we're sitting there at the house decompressing. And Andrew's like, oh, I see you guys are still holding hands, eh? And I was like, no. And then he's like, you guys should just date. Just do it. And we ended up dating after that. All because of the police.
Nice.
Did we
That's
ever
always fun.
tell the Argo studying story?
Yes, we have, for
The
sure.
police? Somehow they
Yes.
always get involved.
Yes, we definitely did. But I don't know if we told the story about me, Joey, and my cousin Mike going out to the woods. Or me, my cousin Mike, Joey, and his cousin Heather all went out to, there's this area called Plows.
Is it next to Lowe's?
Plows was supposed to be this super haunted place, guys. Like,
All right.
we heard stories. We had my cousin go there at one time. It was like, this shit really happened. Supposedly, if you went down there and you park the car at the top of the hill, you'll see a light at the other end. And it's a lantern. And supposedly, if the lantern reaches you, you're going to die that night. Right? So we heard stories about that. We heard stories about they would hear like scratching on the windows and banging on the cars and you know, voices and little children laughing and stuff like that. And they let it get too close, and they almost wrecked when they left. And they got home, and they said that there was handprints, little kid handprints all over the side of the car, this kind of stuff, right? So we're like, ooh, we got to check this out. I knew it was BS, but I was like, ooh, maybe. Let's see. So we get there and we park, and we're sitting there, all four of us, and we're like, oh, you see the light? We can see it down there. We sit there for a second, and Joey's like, yeah, I think it's getting closer. And I'm in the back seat, and I'm like, no, that's... No. And he's like, what do you mean? Don't you see the light? I said, yeah, it's the reflection of the street light hitting this sign down there. It's an optical illusion. That's what it is. This street light hitting this sign. And he's like, nuh-uh.
Nice.
I was like, yeah, it is. And so he and Mike are like, well, we're going to get out and investigate. You guys stay in the car. And I thought for sure they were going to try to scare me and this girl. I was waiting for it. So we're sitting there. We're waiting. I was like, well, let's see what kind of lame shit they do. They're out of the way. And then all of a sudden, they rush into the car real fast. Oh, my God. Freaking out. Joey's freaking out. He's like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. And we're like, what's going on? I'm expecting him to be scared. Mike gets in the car. He starts it up. Joey's like, Mike, get the fuck out of here. And I was like, what happened? What'd you guys see? And Joey goes, damn it, Mike. You didn't tell me this place was no trespassing? So he was afraid, because he was on probation from when he and Derek were knocking over mailboxes.
Oh man, that's a classic and amazing.
It's a classic Joey story, isn't it?
Good stuff, yeah.
All right. Well, you'll have to think of a story for next week, Derek.
Yep. I'll have one. It'll be the greatest story ever told.
Oh, you're going biblical.
Maybe.
All right. So tune in next week when we'll be watching Cat's Eyeballs. The old feline eyes. We'll be watching Stephen King's Cat's Eye. It's an anthology. You'll enjoy it. You can follow us online. You can follow us at HighlightProductions.com. You can follow us on Facebook at Highlight Productions. You can follow us on Instagram at Screen Bloody Movies, and you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow Derek at DDoglyMaster, Lydia at Lydia is Spooky, and me at Racket. Be sure to comment down below on what you thought of Salem's Lot. What Stephen King movies you'd like us to do in the future. Spoiler alert, we've picked all of them already, but maybe for next year. And tell us your favorite ghost hunting story, because we love to hear them. We love to hear them. And we will see you next week with Cat's Eye. So for Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I'm Jamie Hiles. And remember, if you're going to scream Bloody Movies. And we're out, Derek.